I'm Dr. Barry, licensed psychologist, and here we talk about true crime and psychology. Thank you so much for joining. Let's hop right into today's topic. Let's go.
Welcome. Thank you to everybody that completed the poll question. I asked which case you all wanted to hear today. And please know when I do polls like that, it is very normal for me to go ahead and cover both cases. So we are starting with and sometimes I say his name wrong, but it's Gerhardt, I think, Konig trial. And with this case, it has been more interesting than I was expecting for it to be. I knew the defendant was going to testify. I was aware that his son was going to testify, that he called and confessed. I was aware of all of these things, but seeing it play out in real life, it really just to sit back and watch it all, it has been riveting. I have 6 videos. So this is my 6th video on this case. If you are new to the channel, welcome. Thank you so much. I have a playlist now for this trial. I also started a Letitia Stout playlist as well, because just in case that one comes back around. I hope it, but we'll see what happens. More on that after this video. With this case, y'all have some questions. So please let me know y'all's questions in the chat. Let me see. And I am saving the questions that I see so far. All right. And this is a place where we can have differing opinions. Please just say them respectfully. And so Sarah asked if the Michael Jackson stuff was in the syringe. So the syringe was never recovered. The bag that Gerhard had with him and Arielle's bag were both never recovered. So neither one of those bags. And he says he left them on the trail. We heard because they actually searched with a drone to try to find the bags. So the bag that was entered into evidence, that was a bag that he kept at home. And to me, the way that Arielle talked about not really seeing where the syringe came from, she really couldn't say a lot about the vial that she saw. She wasn't trying to make something up. So to me, her testimony for me came across more credible. His testimony, especially on cross-examination, and we will talk about that more, he seemed to go back and forth with the state, and he seemed to be enjoying it. So when the state asked him, well, that was the plan, he says, what plan? Now that's kind of, he was asking the state to, but he knew. You can't tell me he didn't know what the state was insinuating or what the state was getting at. And there were times when he kind of feigned ignorance at times when, to me, he just didn't want to answer the question. And what I got during his direct examination and also his cross-examination, I really felt that he came across meticulous. He described himself as hands-on, and he came across controlling. It seemed like he never got over the affair. And where I personally am with this, would I be happy if my husband was having that level of communication with somebody else and keeping it a secret and deleting the messages? No, I would not be happy with that. But also, I don't surveil my husband either. So, and it came up, somebody asked a question like, why was her office in the bedroom? Why was the screen pointed toward the bed? And Meld 2991, I saw your question and I have saved it. So her screen being faced towards the bed, I wonder if that was another way for him to kind of keep an eye on what she was doing. Now, I don't know. This is still for speculation. Okay. As Paul would call it, is complete speculation. But if my husband had to have the his office in our bedroom, I would want the screen away from me. Because if you're waking up at 5 a.m., my sleep is very important. I would not want to see his screen from the like I would want the screen to be faced another way. That's what I personally would want. Sometimes the makeup, because we didn't see any pictures of their bedroom, maybe it made the most sense to have it that way, but he was definitely keeping an eye on what she was doing. The jury is not going to be aware that he had a history of tracking what his wives were up to. So with his first wife, they did not hear and they are not going to hear that he had a pattern of checking things and kind of being suspicious about what his partner was doing. Now, she was having an inappropriate relationship with the coworker. I thought it was telling that Mrs. Miller never got back to him. I would be so caught off guard if somebody like paid for a subscription on LinkedIn to be able to get my email address, email me their spouse's phone number and email address. Like I would just be like, that would be, ooh, I'm saying, wait. Now I would have a conversation with my husband about it. I would maybe take a look because I don't believe Jeff Miller deleted the messages on his end. When we see the messages seem and I think the state kept Jeff Miller out of it. And I guess the defense probably didn't have a reason. So if there was some like salacious thing, I would think the defense would try to get an investigator to, I don't know, see if Jeff Miller would agree to provide copies of these salacious like the messages, they just weren't salacious. Now, it was grounds to have a conversation with your spouse. It was grounds to talk about boundaries within your relationship. It's my understanding he took it to the level of calling her derogatory names. I'm not going to repeat them here, but he called her derogatory things and then expected her to be intimate with him whenever on demand. Because she had done this, now he had a right to access to her. And the jury didn't hear it that way. The jury did hear that he wanted intimacy more than she was willing to give it to him. And they also heard the last time they were intimate was December 24th. I didn't go back to listen to her testimony if she provided that exact same date. I didn't go back to listen to that, but I could tell based on her testimony that there was more to the story, and the jury is not going to hear the rest of that. I think he might have told the truth when he said he bought the secret recording device so that he could hear what she was telling other people, because she probably told her best friend, he's demanding, he's threatening to expose me if I'm not with him. Like, and I'm sure, like, if that was my best friend, I'd be like, that's gross. Like, that's not okay. That's coercive control. That is a problem. That's what I personally would be telling my friend if they told me something like that. To me, the jury knows enough. The jury knows enough. And the defense, if you go back and watch, at one point, the jury is still in the room, but his defense attorney, he kind of likes to, I don't know. So he kind of pouts a little, he kind of throws. So I describe them as mini tantrums. I don't know if he would describe it that way, but he kind of, when he doesn't get his way, he you can tell he's not happy. And when the around the time the information about him wanting intimacy from her and expecting intimacy from her after calling her derogatory names and and doing all of these things, wanting her to leave the house, wanting her to do all these things, and then wanting her to also be intimate with him. His defense attorney is like this. Yeah, at one point he's like rubbing his head. I thought that was hilarious. I have a dark sense of humor, y'all, and so that is it. Um, Denisa. So I saved your question. Okay. Please put question marks. That helps me see your question a little bit better. So those 3 question marks at the beginning of your question, that helps me see it. All right. So I answered Sarah's question. Cedar asked, does anyone know the relevance of the insurance policy? He got less and she got more. So Sofa speculation. I suspect that he increased the insurance on both of them. If it happened the way the state alleges it happened, if you only increase the insurance on the spouse, if you have a plan, so don't do crimes, people. Don't do crimes. And he did not crime well. Okay. But if you are going to increase the insurance, it looks less suspicious to increase both people's insurance than to only increase one person's insurance. He's a very meticulous person, and I personally think that he was trying to plan all this out. I think that's why he had the dinner reservation that they missed. I think that's why the birthday card, all of this was the setup for him to then look like the grieving widow if what the state alleges he was going to do had happened. And because I don't think it was about the money. So increasing her insurance, I don't know that he necessarily needed that money. It was interesting to me that he was like calculating the cost of the wedding and calculating like the cost of his past divorce. And so we don't know what he was, because he doesn't remember. He got cross amnesia. He does not remember why he looked at all of those things. He remembered a whole lot of other stuff. But when it came to, sir, why were you looking up your divorce? I have no idea. I can't recall. We call that cross amnesia. When you're cross-examined on a difficult point that you really don't want to answer, all of a sudden, poof, nope. I don't know why I would be looking at that. That looks suspicious to me personally. But hey, we'll see. So I missed how on redirect, I guess he tried to explain it. I don't. And he had so many words. He was exhausting. Watching cross-examination, poor Paul. So if you watch it with me and Paul, I think Paul was tired. Poor Paul had been listening to this man all day. And it was difficult. Like he kind of lulled you to sleep at times, but he was portraying himself as the victim. And so okay. And so somebody mentioned if you want to increase one person that has the lowest amount, you have to do it on the highest amount. True. Thanks for adding that. All right. Welcome for being a member for a month. Can you talk about secrecy in harmful relationships? To leave people often need help. He was recording her calls with her mom. That could explain the hiding. And that's where I know some people will get a different phone number, or they will. And so she worked from home and he was at home too. Now her mother lived close where she could probably go and visit her mom. But I wonder if in those months after, I wonder how much he let her out of his sight. And while he was at work, but the whole situation was difficult. And during her testimony, she said that she thought things were getting better in February and March. So she thought they were on the right path. Okay. I'm going to keep going through questions, and we are going to talk about DARVO. Okay. So, Dr. Berry, could you address the eggshell, timid demeanor of both Emil and Ari? I feel like coercive control erodes a personality and emotive expressions of victims. So I thought, I think that was just Arielle's personality. Her mom came across the same way she did. Like, I think Arielle's just a very logical person. And while this was a very, traumatic, tragic situation, I think she was just trying to tell the facts. She was just trying to tell her story. I think both her and Emil have also both received therapy. I would assume that they have therapists that they've been working with. When I'm working with clients that are in a court process, we often talk about how to manage emotions when you're on the stand. They did not ask Arielle if she was on any medications. Sometimes trauma survivors do end up on medications that can kind of blunt affect. She might not have been on anything at all, but sometimes when a person isn't emoting as much as we would expect, sometimes there are even some psychiatrists that will give them a medication just for the day of testimony. So they'll get a medication. I don't want to mention any, but they might get a medication that can kind of help them manage their emotions, manage sitting across from this person again. Uh, Emil did not look at the defendant. Emil did not look at the defendant, and it looked like the defendant was glaring at both Arielle and also Emil when he was on the stand. Now, I don't know how that looked to the jury. So it was just he was locked in on them, and he was just and it wasn't like Corey where she's like shooting daggers out of her eyes. Uh because once again, I think he wants to come off as not angry, not like he very much cares how other people perceive him, in my opinion. Because the fact he wouldn't just admit that he was angry, that this situation made him angry, like that was wow. That was just wow. And so all right, so I am saving questions as they come in. I am behind, okay? So I am catching up on current questions. All right. Do you see narcissism? um so I've mentioned, so I cannot diagnose him. No formal diagnosis has come in for him. A lot of his behavior on the stand and during direct and cross examination, I was feeling signs of somebody that's a little obsessive. Because somebody asked me in the comments about obsessive compulsive personality disorder, and I'm not diagnosing him, but I understood why somebody would ask about obsessive features like that, and then also narcissism. There are some people in the midst of conflict. That's when some of these characteristics or things can come out. I'm only seeing him in this moment. I would love for his ex-wife to speak to her experiences, but on cross-examination, when the state is asking him, "Well, what if Arielle divorced you?" He replied, "Well, if we got a divorce." Oh, sorry about that. If that was loud. If anytime he was asked, he always made it about we and about it being a us decision, and he wouldn't answer the question if Arielle left him. Because so in the United States, one person can want a divorce and the other person doesn't want it, and it's a court issue. So in order for the divorce to be finalized, there's a whole process. But so there are some countries where both people have to agree to the divorce for it to be final. But he made it sound like if they got a divorce, it was going to be because he agreed and we decided. And so to me, he didn't view her as an individual, as a separate person outside of him, which can be a problem. So if me and my husband were having an issue and he decided he didn't want to do this anymore, we're just talking alimony and child support. I'm not saying, you can't leave me. I sang a song for y'all. I think that was on I forgot which video. I think that was the Bachelorette song. So there are some toxic songs, and so I will share another toxic song. It's the um no, 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 there's no way. No, 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 no way. I'm living without you. I'm not living without you. I don't want to be free. I'm staying. I'm stay, and you're gonna love me. That's toxic. That's toxic. Like, no, like if somebody wants to leave, let them go. Now it hurts. It hurts if somebody wants to leave you. It's bad if somebody wants to leave you. It's like you don't want to be like that's it's normal to have fears of abandonment, rejection, to not want somebody to leave. Those are all normal things. But when you force somebody to stay, that's when situations can turn harmful. All right. Now, I love the song, okay? Jennifer Hudson's version, the original version. I watched the movie. But like the song, it's a little toxic. All right, I'm saving questions as they come in. Okay, so I hope I answered your question. So legally, I can't give like a definitive answer to that question, but in general, and there are different types of ways narcissism can present, and there is a malignant narcissism. So to me, Ali Abulaban, he was a TikTok star that in the middle of him and his wife being separated, he imposed, like he loaded something to his daughter's iPad. So, and planted it behind the bed because he just knew he was going to catch his still legal wife, but they were in the middle of divorcing. He was going to catch her in the act. And the minute he heard a man over at her apartment, he like rushes over and this on the stand, he was rage. Like he was seething. He felt he was entitled to it. Like, how dare she do this to me? Like, but he came off in a very angry way. Um, Vulnerable narcissists, they want pity. They want feel bad for me. How dare they do this to me? It comes off in more of a where sometimes their partner feels bad for them. Sometimes it's harder to leave somebody when it's presenting in more of that vulnerable way because you feel bad. You legit like you feel bad for them. Because they're blaming you for like if you leave me, if you reject me, it can and then that's where things like DARVO can come in. So let's go ahead and talk about DARVO. So that's deny, attack, reverse victim, and offender. And the state directly asked him about DARVO, and I think they pointed it out because in this trial, he is denying that he did anything wrong. I don't think like he's saying I was justified. It was self-defense. She attacked me first. That is his, and he didn't do anything wrong. It was a perfect day. It was a Sarah Boone good day, and he didn't do anything wrong. That is what he is alleging. And thank you for adding that in Hawaii, there is a duty to retreat. So Florida has stand your ground. If you feel threatened, you are allowed, like self-defense, you can, but Hawaii is a duty to retreat state where if you feel threatened and you can get safely away. And that's why the state asks. So when he says she's 10 feet away from him, go to the car. If she's 10 feet away from you, and I don't know, he's saying 5, and the way he explained it, it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense the way that he explained the story he told. To me, she looked like she was walking on eggshells in the relationship with him. So that email or so that text message where he's like, you're having the secret affair. And he's like, whatever he said to her about that secret affair. And her response was, I know, I messed up. I'll make sure it never happens again. To me, that sounded like her trying to appease him and let's just move through this. It didn't sound like she was admitting that she did, I'm admitting that this was a horrid secret affair. She wasn't agreeing with him. To me, she was appeasing him. And when a person has lived that way, it can really attack your identity. And that's why I think that's where the question earlier about Emil and Arielle maybe coming across more timid, sometimes that can be a result of a person having to find their identity again. Because often, at times the person might believe maybe it really is me. Maybe I really am the problem. And in most relationships, it's a little bit of both. Normally it's a little bit of both. They are still legally married because they need to finish this court process. This court process will help with custody. So in order for a divorce to be legal, you have to have child custody, alimony, child support. You have to have all of those things settled. And until this court case is resolved, they aren't going to be able to do this. And remember, this incident just happened like 1 year ago. So they've been separated for like a year and some day in a week. So this incident was only a year ago. In the state of Virginia, if you have children and you want a divorce, you have to legally be separated for a year. So like you can't even like the divorce can't be final until you've been separated for a year if you have children. If you don't have children, I think it's 6 months. Remember, I'm not a lawyer. All right. And so let's go back to these questions. All right. Okay. Yes, I answered that one. I hope everybody has a good Easter weekend. Thank you for being a member for a month. Let's see. How could a counselor therapist not raise serious concerns about his obsessive and controlling behavior? I think G expected the therapist to berate Arielle too. So we don't know what the therapist did. And it sounds like the therapist did not focus on the alleged affair. It sounds like the therapist focused on his demands, like the after effect, which is that was a good therapist. What they were trying to talk about was him respecting her boundary of not being ready to re-engage in physical intimacy yet, that they needed to rebuild their relationship before she would be comfortable being physically intimate with him again. And on the stand, he made it sound like he deserved it, like he was entitled to her body, and no person is entitled to another person's body. Like it came to me. It came across. I'm saying it as nicely as I can. Oh yay. So y'all, me and Paul have a blast. I have a collaboration playlist where I've done collaborations with Paul, Kathy from Gossip Rumor and Innuendo. I've also collaborated with Tanika and Josh Ritter. I have most of my collaborations over on that playlist. If you like collaborations with Paul, you can just listen to those. If you like other ones, you can skip around. And we can go from there. I am saving questions. Okay. All right. Okay. So there we go. In fact, the counselor said to prioritize Ari's other issues before the affair. Yes, that says a lot. And he would be mad since he's such a victim. Now, it sounds like he still went and he explained that the therapy was helpful, but it seems like he was trying to live a life without his wife based on things. I don't know. So, all right. So let me go back to the questions. Thank you for being here. And then I forget if I talked about this one. Yes, I think I talked about the secrecy in relationships. All right. Did you notice he testified he had joint custody of the kids from his first marriage? He did not. His wife had full custody. Wow. So did he have visitation? I didn't know that. And if I was the state, I wouldn't even try to. He probably had visitation. He might have joint legal. Joint legal is common. So I think my parents had joint physical and legal. They technically had joint, but I lived with my mom all the time and would do visitation with my dad growing up. I did not notice that. Thank you. Dr. Berry, do you know why A and G owed Arielle's parents money? They both earned high salaries. She testified she used it to pay off a loan. I wonder if they took a loan. I don't know what happened for them to need a $85,000 loan. So I don't know if that was to purchase the house, maybe to put a down payment on the house and have a lower interest rate or something. That never came up where that loan came from. I don't know. Do we know if the defendant had been interviewed forensically? So it never came into the trial. So he didn't make a mental health claim. So he didn't say, I snapped or anything like that. And competency to go to trial, or if his defense did do, I don't even know that they would do any type of mental health because he's claiming self-defense. So there was no mental health expert that testified. If you remember on the Shonda Vander Ark trial, they had mental health experts that met with her, but none of the experts could provide favorable testimony, so none of them were called. And so, yeah. What are your thoughts on Emil calling him the defendant? I think that was, I think it's hard for Emil to think that his father did that to his stepmother, to, and so, and then his father is fighting the charges and blaming it on Arielle. And Emil was prepared, I think, that the defense was going to challenge what he says he heard, and the defense did it in a gentle way. So there have been defenses that have not been gentle with the defendant's children that were testifying against them. There are some defendants that allow their attorney to, go at their child's credibility really, really strong. To me, the defendant's lawyer he can be quite aggressive. And he was as gentle as he could be with Emil, because they were just going to try to say that Emil was so emotional, and so that's why he said what he said. And I don't think that's what it was. So those are my thoughts on that one. Wouldn't it be illegal for him to carry a controlled substance? Okay, so let's Google that. Is that a controlled substance? Because I thought on the stand he said it was not a controlled substance. Is propofol. Okay, see, automatically comes up. Okay, so propofol, generally not a federally controlled substance. So it's not something that is federally controlled. There might be state variations to that, but it's not something that is federally controlled. So not a lawyer here giving mental health commentary. How do you think the state did? Did they nail their points, to be clear? So especially with cross-examination of this defendant, if you asked him what his birthday was, I feel like he would give like a 2-minute answer. Like he wasn't just answering questions. When he was asked, did you do this? He would give an explanation and not just say yes. To me, he was trying to control the narrative, but he also did that with his lawyer too. So I knew cross was going to be painful because direct examination was extremely painful. So, yeah, that is. Did he ever explain why he had? So we don't. So I think he denies that he had, if he did have any medications on the mountain. He denies ever pulling it out. So the bag that they found, the bag that had the medication in it, that was the bag that was in Maui. That was not the bag that was in Oahu. I suspect that he threw that bag over the cliff. And so that's what I suspect. What narcissism is a weak ego. So there's a difference between confidence and narcissism. So some people can truly be. So Arielle is a nuclear scientist. Like, she is likely very bright. She could explain words that I could not explain. So, and to me, she admitted when she was wrong. She now she didn't think it was an affair, but she admitted that it was an inappropriate relationship. She, to me, was willing to admit her things. I did not see Mr. Konig admit to much of it. It was so painful to watch. So narcissism is also a spectrum. So from none or very mild to high levels. So that is what that is. Okay. I hope that helps. I never finished DARVO. I am going to go back to that. I'm sorry. I never finished that. I am aware I never finished that. What do you think about his shifting affect from being pretty stone-faced when seated by his lawyer, but on the stand, he's overwrought? And I wonder, so he looked giddy. He looked happy. I think it was hard for him to not feel in control. I think he was looking forward to being on the stand and telling his story. And to me, he very much tried to control the narrative. And as a defendant, you want to let your lawyer lead because they're the ones that understand the law. They understand, like, being careful not to open certain doors. He said some words that I wouldn't have recommended because he described himself as meticulous and hands-on. He described an anesthesiologist as a person that, like, relieves you from your pain. And like there was certain language he used that it was, I don't know if his lawyer had issue with it. I don't know. He was very, very talkative. His potential sentence is, if he's convicted of second degree attempted, he is facing life with the possibility of parole. That's the highest. So, because he's charged with second degree attempted. Now, he could be found guilty. I don't know if they're going to include a lesser included like assault. I don't know. I don't know what they will do. On Tuesday, they're going to be the jury instructions. Thank you so much for the $4.99. You are one of those people that when I sit next to you, when he's next to me in church, my singing sounds so much better. You have a beautiful singing voice. Sing every day. Thank you so much. I love to sing. I did sing in a choir in college, and I sang in, like, different things with church and stuff like that. I don't sing anywhere now. If I was not a psychologist, I would probably be a cruise ship entertainment director if I was single. It's harder to do that as a married person, but like cruise ship entertainment director, I would absolutely love that. All right. Do you think he truly believes they'll find him not guilty? I think he was confident in his testimony, but I think he lacks insight. My personal thoughts. He does not see things the way we see things. So if I was, I don't do crimes, but to me, his explanation of buying the recording device to monitor her conversations with family and friends because he thought she was giving an inaccurate narrative, that was worse than him purchasing a secret recording device to see if she was talking with Jeff Miller. Like, I would have been like, oh, okay. But like, to me, it sounds so much more controlling that you bought the recording device to record her conversations with family and friends. Like, to me, like when he said that, I think I was live streaming it. I was like, what? Because I was prepared for him to say that the recording device was, so the defense fought hard to keep that recording device out. There was a whole hearing on Monday because the recording device, the purchase from Walmart, that came up in their broad search. And I guess separate was in the source code. And the defense fought hard to keep that evidence out. And then the explanation is bad. Maybe he was telling the truth. I don't like, for you, that seemed worse to me. That's what I'll say there. All right. Stuck in bed. So glad I found your channel. Welcome. So this is Claire Marvel. Welcome. Hope you feel better. Thanks for giving me something to listen to while I wait this out. This counts as self-care. Good. Thank you for watching. And then Sarah, dear Lord in heaven, will we have to okay, so that's for the next trial. That is the next video. Okay, so I am all okay, so I have been over on the other side. So now I'm gonna go up from the bottom. Why didn't the state call the coworker and his wife to say there was I don't think you had to. They have the messages. The messages that he saved that she deleted, it was good morning. It was what she had made. It was yogurt in the fridge. The messages he saved that he was extremely upset about, that he saw and that she deleted, they weren't even that bad. And also, even if somebody is having an affair, you can't push them off a cliff. You just can't. All right. So I just caught up. If I missed a question, if you could type your question again, I apologize. I'm all caught up with questions. Thank you for everybody that's watching. Once again, I am Dr. Barry. I am a clinical psychologist, so I like talking about the clinical side of things. I'm going to take a moment to start talking about DARVO because that is deny, attack, reverse victim, and offender, and that is a form of gaslighting. And what gaslighting is it's trying to change the other person's perspective or change the narrative. Okay. And the functions of gaslighting, specifically with DARVO, is reality distortion. It makes the actual victim doubt their memory, perception, and sanity. DARVO, when it happens in a relationship, it is blame shifting. It shifts the focus from the harmful behavior to the victim's alleged faults. So for me, him, after he finds out about this inappropriate relationship, him then demanding intimacy from her, that's a problem. But he's trying to make himself the victim of, wait a minute, you hurt me, so I should have right to, I don't know, like that could be a form of DARVO, him trying to make himself the victim in after he called her names. He told her best friend before talking with her, like the way he handled this situation was so bad. And he won't admit that he did anything wrong. He's like, she has something to work on. Now, he kind of did, because the state asked, why are you reading Helping Your Partner Heal from Your Affair? Because that's the book that you recommend to the person that had the affair. You normally don't recommend that book to the like normally you would be you'd recommend to them like a different book, or because it's how to help your spouse heal after your affair. That was the book that he also read, and it was just it was exhausting. I feel so bad for Gianna and Brian. And if you notice the difference, when Arielle was asked about her best friend and her partner's private matters, she did not want to say it. She actually tried to not answer the question and say, I don't think I should go into this. Like, she tried to not answer the question. I think it was even the judge. So she had to answer. He's up there saying Jeff Miller lives in Maryland. He's up here saying Brian was out of the house for this many months and he stayed here. I'm surprised we don't know the name of the hotel that he stayed at. Like, he's just up here giving everybody else's business like it's nothing. And individuals with him, like him, sometimes their relationships are more transactional, or you find out like how much of a friend they really are in the midst of a conflict. And also, this was Arielle's best friend, and I think he called Brian his best friend too. Like, this whole situation was just it was a lot. So, and to me, their information did not help me better understand what he was going through. He could have protected that information, and he chose not to. He wanted that information to come in, I think, personally. But like, because once again, I don't think he has insight. I don't think he sees things the way we all see things. I don't talk about my best friend's business. If I was in court for my issue, I wouldn't start bringing in other people's stuff. And so going back to DARVO, so it's reality distortion, it's blame shifting, and it's also about silence and control. It's often designed to silence victims and protect the perpetrator's reputation. Some examples and warning signs are deflection, playing the victim, and false allegations. And how you respond to it, you recognize the pattern, make sure to document things, avoid lengthy arguments. So that's where gray rock. But and then I do want to acknowledge when we talk about gray rock, I don't have a gray rock around me. That might have to be the next thing. I like how Kathy has props. So I think Gerhardt lived on like other people's reactions. And when he comes across a little antagonistic. So he seemed to like thinking he was frustrating the state and that he wouldn't just answer the question. He came off antagonistic to me. Like he's just up here, like this is a game. Like he was smiling and smirking. He winked. I don't know if the jury saw that. He winked at somebody during one of the sidebars. Now he's probably seeing his parents. He's probably like having, I don't know, like he's probably seeing people in the gallery that he hasn't seen. But that was weird. That was strange. Like I think he liked the drama. Is it me? Is it I think he liked it. And so let me say this. Did you notice after the break during cross-examination, he would no longer agree to opening the documents that contained his username? He started saying the computer. He was exhausting. He was he wouldn't admit the smallest things. And so that made him less credible to me. So I found on cross-examination, like there were some things where the answer should have just been yes. Was this a difficult hike? He's like, no, it's not that bad. Was the entrance hard to find? No, you have to climb over the wall and go past the tree and file pat. Like it sounds like that's difficult to find. Like it was, it was a lot. It was a lot. It was a lot. And so, let me see. All right, I'm going through the questions that I've started. What do you think his decision to testify? So his decision to testify, he's claiming self-defense. He had to testify. If you claim self-defense, that's why we got the gift of Brendan Banfield's testimony. So defendants probably, I don't know. There might have been more doubt. I don't know if his story helped. I think he thinks his side helped, but in order for him to claim it was self-defense, he has to give his side of the story. Him saying, I don't think he said that. I don't know. Maybe he did. Did he say that? See, I was so done with him. Like my brain wasn't even comprehending some of his words. I will allow her to eat if she quits. So he wouldn't even admit that if she quit her job, she would be financially dependent on him. He wouldn't just say yes. The answer to that is yes. If you're a one income household, the other spouse is dependent on that other person. I thought he was trying to isolate her from other people. And that was a lot. I thought the crying and so there were no tears. If you like Dr. G Explains, he looked at points that he felt were signs of deception. And he also talked about how how Gerhardt, there were no tears. And he compared him to Murdaugh. So like Murdaugh did that like snotty, like face all red, but still no tears. Like he did that very dramatic crying, but no tears. Very performative, in my opinion. So I enjoyed his breakdown of it. He did not talk about the smirking, I don't think. The smirking bothered me. I really wish. Oh, did he see cross-examination yet? I think maybe he only had seen direct. I don't think he had seen cross-examination yet. So he'll probably do a part 2, especially since these videos tend to do well. And so let me see. Going back to questions. Thank y'all all for being here. Make sure to like the video. We are on our way to 50,000 subscribers. I appreciate you all more than I can even say. All right. So, do you think therapy speak is losing its meaning because of its increasing use by non-professionals? And so, everything isn't gaslighting. So just because somebody disagrees with you, and everybody isn't a narcissist. So, that is not a thing. Uh, and then you have cases like this. And so that's why I say his behavior in this situation is coming off a lot like an inflated sense of self, a very weak ego. It's coming off in a certain way. I can't generalize that to his entire life just because of this situation. Okay. Don't narcissists threaten to do things to themselves and then don't? Sometimes that can happen. Sometimes they accidentally do something dangerous and they might not intend, but like, so that's where, yeah. So Arielle, do you have concerns? Oh, do I have concerns about Arielle's behavior? I think she was keeping her job. Oh, I think keeping her job was healthy. I don't believe she would bring up going on a trip with Jeff Miller on a cliff. The state pointed that out on her birthday. Why in the world would she be bringing up the most sensitive topic, the absolute most sensitive topic? Why would she do that? It just, his story didn't make any sense to me at all. At all, at all, at all. Okay, question. I think he is one of those people who absolutely has no idea how he appears to other people. Yes, I call that a lack of insight, and how his behaviors, how other people would view him as controlling, obsessive, and not in like a good, like this is coming off poorly. It's coming off bad. It's coming off very, very bad. I feel sorry for Jeff Miller that his whole picture, his wife's email address, like all of that stuff is in the forever court record. Lee, don't. Hey. And so I'm going back to starred questions. Okay, I answered the Arielle one. And then this one. Did you notice after the break? Okay, good. Yes, computer accessed. I answered that one. Welcome to the membership. I'm planning a members only live. I promise. It'll probably be on Tuesday. So there seemed to be some jealousy. So the chat is hilarious. People are saying Jeff Miller has to be taller. I was not prepared for the amount of times he talked about testicles, but I went back and watched Arielle's testimony, and she admitted to grabbing him by the huevo. I can't say it in Spanish. By the gonad. She did admit to it. So I did a short on the Kelsey Fitzsimmons case. If you go to my shorts, I have a video with my thoughts there. I thought the jury or the judge, I thought the judge got that one right. So many and he smiled. So he's talking about the day his wife. So according to his thing, she's trying to take him out and he's having to defend himself. He smiled. Did anybody else find that odd? He's smiled. Like they did say testicles like 20 times in 2 minutes. Not quite. I mean, I'm exaggerating. He said it a lot. Do you think it was brought up because she was texting him? Which part? My brain has moved on. That train has left. Do I think which part was brought up? Maybe Jeff Miller? I don't. My brain has moved on. And I liked, so if you didn't watch the interview with Emily D. Baker and the private investigator from the Corey Richins trial, that interview was so good. And he calls himself an obsessive person. He likes things to be a certain way. And there's nothing wrong with that. The problem comes when your bitterness and your hate, when you're starting to make a plan to do a crime. That's when that meticulousness, because also he's leaving evidence. But I think he thought he was doing it well. Because once again, he wrote this beautiful birthday note. There were no red flags. So if he had been like, if the relationship had been bad right before, it would make sense. Oh, yeah, of course. But the relationship in her minds, she thought it was getting better. But had he stopped fighting some fights because there was another plan. And a lot of people have talked about, in general, people that are antagonistic or have narcissistic like traits, they ruin big days. They ruin birthdays. He's up here ruining poor Gianna's birthday. So they're just at dinner. My friend goes up to the bathroom and her husband tells me she's having an affair. And I'm just like, what? And he hasn't talked with his wife yet. I was, and Arielle talked about the betray, like how much that hurt her. And I don't think he saw a problem with it. He didn't see a problem with it at all. Is it normal for someone with this charge to not be allowed bail? I'm not a lawyer. Gotta ask a lawyer. Uh, and also, he didn't turn himself in immediately. So he didn't walk down the hill to be detained by police. He was kind of on the run for like 5 hours. Oh, his injuries, I totally believe one of those large Polynesian men tackled him and he had dirt on his face. Like the thing on his face, it looked like dirt to me. I'm so glad the state showed their injuries side by side. Those are very graphic pictures. I'm not going to show them here. Those pictures are extremely graphic. Her wound, and the defense keeps trying to minimize it because the officer said he tackled him. Now the officer isn't going to admit, and he says he was kind of like trying, and so him and two of his friends, they detained him, but he says he laid down in the grass, and he doesn't know why they were being so aggressive with him. I I I don't believe him. I don't believe him. Nothing he says makes sense. It doesn't make sense. And according to Judge Judy, when it doesn't make sense, it's probably not true. But those are my thoughts. We will see what the jury decides. I always respect the jury's verdict. I don't think he's going to get a not guilty. I don't think a jury of 12, I don't know in Hawaii if it's 12 people, I don't think they're going to get to a not guilty. I think his team is hoping for like a lesser. I don't know what lesser included. So if they are going to include, remember, I'm not a lawyer, and we're going to hear the jury instructions on Tuesday. We will see what happens. Jeff Miller, do you think she would have been texting him and she wasn't texting him. So according to the defendant's testimony, she brought up a trip that she was about to go on another work trip with Jeff Miller, and he needed to be okay with it. And she was willing to have her mother chaperone. And he added in that her mother thought Jeff was great. I don't even know if that's true. I think he was just trying to be like, everybody's against me. Like, to me, that sounded like he was trying to make himself more of the victim. Like they can't see how much they're hurting me. It was exhausting, extremely exhausting. I watched every minute. I couldn't look away. I couldn't look away. I will be streaming on Tuesday night. I'll have to decide if I start streaming at 9 and if we pull a late night again, or we'll see. So y'all know I have to put my kid to bed. Or I might be able to leave the stream up. So I might be able to start streaming at 7 and leave the stream up when I need to take care of kiddo. That's what I did with Paul. I was able to just mute. I was able to just kind of turn it off. I might be able to do that. Wasn't it a work trip, not just for him? Yeah, so it was going to be a work trip, but The defendant's rule was they could never be alone. They could never be together ever again. If he was going, she couldn't go. Controlling. Like, so it was a work trip, but if Jeff was going, she couldn't go. That was his rule. And that seems excessive. He said that her mother and Gianna, I don't know which one it is, called him a monster, but the jury doesn't know that he was threatening to reveal the affair if she wasn't intimate with him. The jury's not going to know that. They can't know that. It's way too prejudicial. That's why the next video we have to talk about Letitia Stout getting a whole new trial because of a certain ruling. And so the rulings that the judges do during the trial are incredibly important. And if too much is allowed in, it can make the entire case have to be tried again. So with the Daisy Link, Daisy Link is a woman. She was, she claimed self-defense. She unalived her partner, and during her trial, but while she was in jail, she impregnated herself through the wall. Another inmate gave her sperm and she put it in herself, and she got pregnant, has a whole baby because of that. That's a whole other question, whole other conversation. We're not going there. Not enough time. But a picture was allowed in during her trial, and that picture, an appellate court ruled was too prejudicial and shouldn't have come in, and she gets a whole new trial. A whole new trial because of one picture. One little picture. And so that's where judges have to be careful. And so I appreciate you all. This is the one I was trying to do. I hope you all enjoy the rest of your day. The very next video, we are going to be talking about Letitia Stout. This is a case that involves the death of a child. Please take care of your mental health. I am not going to go into the graphic details. She is likely going to claim not guilty by reason of insanity again. And so that's the approach that I'm going to be talking about more of that. But that is the next case that we will be talking about. Here, we like to be kind, don't do crimes, and I will see you all next time. Have a good one. Bye.